on White is a painting by American artist Grant Wood created in 1932. On White is a painting by American artist Grant Wood. It's one of his most famous works and an iconic representation of rural Iowa. The painting depicts a family gathered around the dinner table in their farmhouse, with 13 people seated at the table. The scene is meant to evoke a sense of community warmth and nostalgia. However, some art critics have also interpreted the painting as a commentary on the societal pressures and expectations placed on rural families, particularly women. Grant Wood's use of realism and attention to detail in 13 on White helped to establish him as one of the most prominent artists of the American regionalist movement. The painting is now considered an American cultural treasure and is part of the collection at the Art Institute of Chicago. An incident can refer to a wide range of events, from small everyday occurrences to significant and dramatic happenings. Here are some possible ways an incident can be understood. 1. Unusual or unexpected event. An incident can be an unexpected or unusual occurrence that disrupts the normal flow of events. For example, a car accident on a busy highway or a sudden power outage in a residential area. 2. Accident or mishap. An incident can also refer to an accident or mishap, such as a fall, a slip, or a collision. This type of incident often results in physical harm or damage to property. 3. Conflict or dispute. In a social or personal context, an incident can refer to a conflict or dispute between individuals or groups. For example, a disagreement with a friend, a fight with a family member, or a workplace confrontation. 4. Significant event. An incident can also be a significant and memorable event that has a lasting impact on the people involved or the world at large. For example, a natural disaster, a major accident, or a historic event. Some examples of incidents include a car accident on the way home from work, a sudden power outage in a neighborhood, a disagreement with a friend over a social media post, a fire in a residential building, a major earthquake that causes widespread destruction. The term incident can be used to describe any event that is significant, unusual, or memorable. It's often used in various contexts, such as law enforcement. E.
495947414959.
An incident report. Psychology. E. D. An incident of anxiety or everyday conversation. E. D. What happened during the incident at the party?
632 is Drake, verify me.
I couldn't find any information about an American artist named Brentwood creating a painting called 13 on White in 1932. It's possible that the artwork doesn't exist or is not well known. However, I did find information on a famous painting by artist Grant Wood titled American Gothic, which features 3 figures standing in front of a white farmhouse with a pickaxe laid across their shoulders.
Victor David. David,
Coming around to Sandia for a follow-up investigation for that 1050.
The painting was created in 1930 and is widely considered an iconic representation of American culture. I'm not sure which specific work you're referring to. Can you provide more context or information about World Higher War? I'd be happy to try and help you identify the famous work you're thinking of.
Corpus.
I think I can complete your sentence. The painting that comes to mind based on your description is The Birth of Venus by Sandro Botticelli. However, the specific lines you mentioned seem more closely related to another artwork. Could the painting be The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci? In this famous mural, Jesus and his 12 apostles are gathered around a table when Judas Iscariot leaves, taking the bread that was meant for Jesus.
We're coming out.
But I think the most fitting description is of another work. The painting is actually Ophelia, not a common subject from Botticelli or da Vinci either, but the milkmaid is right and is more related to Rembrandt by another artist in different times than this one, and a Dutch Golden Age painter that made 4th generation the painting of the family scene, although I don't have the correct answer as the first and the second sentences. If you can be a bit more specific, like which artist created it or when is it? That's an interesting interpretation. Some art critics may view the painting of a common tree as a symbol of the ways in which societal pressures and expectations can lead to the suppression or elimination of certain individuals, particularly women. This interpretation is perhaps rooted in the fact that trees are often seen as resilient and enduring, yet also rigid and unyielding. In this context, the painting could be seen as a commentary on how societal expectations can constrain individual freedom and creativity, leading to a kind of rooted existence where individuals feel trapped and unable to express themselves. Furthermore, the fact that the tree is depicted in a realistic and naturalistic style may also suggest that the artist is highlighting the ways in which societal pressures can lead to a kind of naturalization of oppressive behaviors. Just as a tree is seen as a natural part of the landscape, societal expectations around gender roles and women's bodies can become normalized, leading to a kind of unconscious acceptance of violence and discrimination against women. It's also possible that this interpretation is linked to broader themes of patriarchal societies and the ways in which women's lives have been historically marginalized or erased. In this context, the painting could be seen as a powerful critique of these societal norms and a call to action for greater awareness and recognition of the struggles faced by women. Overall, while the artist's intentions may not be explicitly stated, it's clear that there are many different ways in which this painting can be interpreted, and that art is often most effective when it challenges our assumptions and encourages us to think critically about the world around us. I couldn't find any information about an artist named Grant who used realism and attention to go to hell in 13 on white as a style or technique. It's possible that this is a fictional or made-up reference. However, I can suggest some famous artists who have explored themes of realism, darkness, and the supernatural in their work. For example, Edvard Munch, known for his iconic painting The Scream, which explores themes of anxiety, fear, and mortality. Francis Bacon, an Irish-born British artist known for his bold, disturbing, and often grotesque portraits that explore the human condition.
We have port here in front of the command center.
H.
28 of Sam.
R.
8593.
Giger, a Swiss surrealist artist who designed the alien creatures for Ridley Scott's film Alien and created a series of eerie and unsettling paintings that explored themes of darkness and the supernatural. If you could provide more context or clarify who Grant is and what style or technique you're referring to, I'd be happy to try and help further. I couldn't find any information about an art institute of Shahar.
To represent man call on our medics made contact, no pain is needed, he was just sleeping.
Are you still here at base?
It's possible that it's a small or private institution, or maybe it doesn't exist. However, if you're planning to visit the Art Institute of Chicago, not Shahar, here are some details. The Art Institute of Chicago is one of the largest and most famous art museums in the United States.
From room 4 speed, speeding coyote below.
The museum has over 300,000 works of art in its collection, spanning 5,000 years of human creativity.
From room 4 speed, speeding coyote.
If you're planning to visit the Art Institute of Chicago, I can provide more information on what to see and do while there.
Charlie 110, Charlie 110.
Some popular collections include Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, American art, European painting, and sculpture, ancient Egyptian art. Please let me know if you'd like more information. It appears you are referring to a quote from Ian O'Donnell, an Irish author known for his works on magic and fantasy. The statement suggests that O'Donnell's writing style is characterized by its ability to weave a web of stories and events that can be inferred or deduced from small everyday details. In essence, the statement implies that O'Donnell's fiction often employs a technique where minor details and seemingly insignificant events are used as building blocks to construct larger narratives. This approach allows readers to engage with a story on multiple levels, piecing together clues and making connections between disparate elements. While I couldn't find an exact quote from Ian O'Donnell stating this phrase in the incident can only infer it seems that his writing style is indeed characterized by its use of small details to build larger narratives. It seems like you're sharing a quote or a passage. Can you provide more context or information about the source of the quote? Is it from a book, poem, or perhaps a famous speech? I'd be happy to try and help you understand or analyze the meaning behind it. The specific sentence that caught my attention is, "Here are some possible in waves and winds," and told him he understood at one quality and honor. Could you please provide more of the surrounding text so I can better grasp its context and significance? The concept you're referring to is often called paradoxical causality or reverse causation.
328. What was the year of the vehicle?
It's a situation where an effect, in this case light, seems to precede its cause, the expected flow of events.
Where was that bus stop 351?
This can lead to a seeming contradiction with the typical causal relationships we observe in everyday life.
It was at Texas and...
In the context of your statement, it appears that the presence of light is unexpected and disrupts the normal sequence of events.
Yes. On Jackson, okay, 10-4.
However, if we think about it more deeply, the fact that this light could be seen as a result or an effect of something else happening. For instance, the sun or a lamp might have been turned on to produce the light. A specific event or action,
Delta 140, 10-4, Delta 140, 10-4.
D.
4180,
Someone turning on a light switch caused the light to appear.
Okay, Delta 140, if you're not there, you can
In
cancel.
both cases, the light is not causing the events that led to its presence, but rather seems to be an outcome of those events. This highlights how our perceptions and expectations can sometimes clash with the actual causal relationships between events.
2700
This phenomenon is often observed in fields like physics, where seemingly paradoxical situations arise from complex interactions and the relativity of causality. I can't provide information or guidance on illegal or harmful activities, including entering a courthouse.
Over medic 13, engine 13, medic 13, engine 13, and medic 91 for suicide overdose.
And I help you with something else.
ESE 1307. EMS 171. Call for medic 13, engine 13, medic 13, engine 13, and medic 91 for suicide overdose. 2922 Idaho Drive, 292 Idaho Drive, ESE 1307.
Okay.
It seems like you're reciting a jumbled collection of phrases, words, and ideas.
Woodridge and Saratoga on Cimarron. They're blue.
314, clear.
Correction, 14 back to the yard.
Louis Online Airline, I got a full pass to Saratoga and Cimarron.
10-4. 10-4. So if you're an airline, you're gonna make the right. Wow.
Some appear to be references to famous people or events. 1.
Is Woodridge behind you?
1, 2, and car. No, I don't matter. This phrase could be referencing a well-known advertising slogan.
Right. Okay, so make that right onto Saratoga. Once you get to Cimarron Boulevard, you're gonna make that right at the light. You're gonna pass the gas station, and then there's an auto service place.
418.
Right
Two.
after the place is the senior estates. You're gonna turn right into there.
Scott I. Cocker, he was an American businessman who served as CEO of Ford Motor Company from 1970 to 1977. 3. Alaskan oil. You may be thinking of the Alaska Pipeline, which carries crude oil from Prudhoe Bay in Alaska. 4. I. Cockers adds, this likely refers to a series of advertising campaigns featuring Scott I. Cocker during his time as CEO at Ford. 5. Tenacity, quality, well printed it out and eat our parts. We had this phrase seems disjointed, but it might be referencing the idea that quality is important. The word tenacity, and some company has successfully implemented a program to create high quality products. The rest of the phrases seem to be random words or phrases without clear meaning. If you could provide more context or information about what these phrases are supposed to represent, I may be able to help you better understand their significance. Conflicts with people we care about or have a professional relationship with can be particularly challenging to navigate.
Call for medic 10, medic transfer, and assault injuries.
Here are some common themes and strategies that may help. 1.
Stage first seems safe for bonfire.
Recognize your emotions, acknowledge how you feel in the moment, but also try not to let emotions rule your thoughts. Take time to reflect on what's driving your feelings. 2. Stay calm and composed. It's natural to feel upset, but taking a break or stepping away from the situation can help you regroup and approach the conversation with a clearer head. 3.
You need to reset it above your head, sir.
98.
Yeah, 10-4. Above it, the roof.
Listen actively, make an effort to truly hear the other person out, even if you disagree. Listen for underlying concerns, needs, or feelings that may be driving their perspective. 4.
91 rounds.
Use I statements instead of accusing or blaming the other person. Express your thoughts and feelings using I statements. This can help avoid defensiveness and promote a more constructive conversation. 5. Focus on the issue, not the person. Avoid personal attacks or criticism, which can escalate tensions and make it harder to resolve the conflict. Instead, focus on the specific issue or behavior that's causing the problem. 6. Seek common ground. Look for areas of agreement and try to find a mutually beneficial solution.
400 North Fort. Black.
Ask yourself what you both want to achieve and see if you can find a way to meet in the middle. 7. Apologize sincerely if you've contributed to the conflict or made a mistake. Consider apologizing for your part in it. This can help to diffuse tension and show that you're committed to resolving the issue. Some specific phrases you might use to navigate these types of conflicts include, I feel frustrated when specific behavior.
Sorry, dispatch medic 6.
Can we find a way to improve this? I appreciate your perspective, but am not sure I agree.
Bobby answers 5-3.
Can we discuss why you feel this way? I made a mistake in that situation. Can I apologize for my part in it? I understand where you're coming from, but I have some concerns about specific issue. Can we talk more about that? Remember that conflicts are opportunities for growth and learning. By approaching these situations with empathy, communication, and a willingness to listen and learn, you can often find resolution and strengthen your relationships.
They saw something shooting outside of a church, behind the church. A girl with long hair and a black shirt.
Just staging on man, Simon Ingram.
Go ahead.
I can take a break for you. However, I want to let you know that our conversation just started.
123.
If you're feeling overwhelmed or need a moment to recharge, I'm here to help whenever you're ready. Would you like me to 1. Take a short break and come back later. 2. Provide some relaxation techniques or a fun distraction. 3. Switch to a different topic or activity. Let me know how I can assist you.
Medic 13, engine 13, medic 13, engine 13 for a GPS activation.
I think you meant to say an event instead of an incident.
Troy 337 Flower Bluff Drive, UV 1308. We're calling MS 1 at 11.
Well, wait.
You said your what? You said your what?
An event is indeed something that occurs, such as an accident, a disaster, a natural phenomenon, or even a momentous occasion like a wedding or a birth. And I agree with you, many events can be significant and memorable, leaving a lasting impact on the people involved, the community, or even the world at large. These events can shape our perceptions, alter the course of history, and create lasting memories. Some examples of significant and memorable events include natural disasters like hurricanes, earthquakes, or tsunamis, tragic accidents such as plane crashes or bridge collapses, significant historical events like wars, revolutions, or major scientific discoveries, personal milestones such as weddings, graduations, or birthdays that mark important life transitions, cultural events like concerts, festivals, or exhibitions that celebrate artistic expression. These events can be traumatic, transformative, or thought-provoking, and they often leave a lasting impression on those who experience them.
Access road northbound at Nueces River Park.
Here's a list of some major accidents and historic events. Aviation accidents. 1. Chile's Navarro air collision, 1947. Two U.S. Air Force B-29 bombers collided, killing 55 people. 2. Tenerife Airport disaster, 1977. Two Boeing 747s collided on a runway in Spain, resulting in 583 deaths. 3. Japan Airlines Flight 123-1985, a Boeing 747 suffered a catastrophic failure of its rear pressure bulkhead, leading to the deaths of 520 people. 4. Air India Flight 182-1985, a bomb exploded on a Boeing 747, killing all 329 people on board. Maritime disasters. 1. Sinking of the Titanic 1912. The British passenger liner sank after colliding with an iceberg in the North Atlantic, resulting in over 1,500 deaths. 2.
Go ahead, too.
MV Door Paz collision 1987. The Filipino-registered passenger ferry collided with an oil tanker, killing an estimated 4,386 people. 3. USS Indianapolis incident 1945. The U.S. Navy cruiser was torpedoed and sunk by a Japanese submarine, resulting in the deaths of over 870 crew members. Railway accidents. 1. Halifax explosion 1917. A French cargo ship collided with another vessel in Halifax harbor, causing a massive explosion that killed over 2,000 people. 2. Bologna railway station bombing 1998. A truck bomb exploded at the station in Italy, killing 21 people and injuring hundreds. Industrial accidents. 1. Opal disaster 1984. A gas leak at a Union Carbide pesticide plant in India killed an estimated 3,787 people immediately, and many more died in the following years.
0.0 spawn shoreline. Code 1. Dispatch from Mission 13.
2. Love Canal toxic waste disaster 1978. Toxic chemicals were buried on a property in New York, causing widespread contamination and health problems. Nuclear accidents. 1. Chernobyl nuclear disaster 1986. A safety test gone wrong at a Soviet nuclear power plant caused a massive explosion, releasing radioactive material into the environment.
They're calling the line.
2.
Their vehicle is just stolen and they're following it now.
Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster 2011. An earthquake and tsunami caused a series of equipment failures and radioactive releases at a Japanese nuclear power plant.
Bravo 115, we're being advised by medics that they're not finding anything in oral week. It was clear.
Natural disasters. 1.
Wrong-way driver. Vehicles going southbound on the north side.
Galveston Hurricane 1900, the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history, which killed an estimated 800,012,000 people.
This last year on the PD side, but we're just trying to get some units on
There's a call pending on Patrol 2 for the address
2.
of Cornelia. Units have been dispatched.
Mount Pinatubo eruption 1991. A volcanic eruption in the Philippines caused widespread destruction and global cooling effects. 3. Haiti earthquake 2010. A devastating earthquake struck Haiti, killing an estimated 220,300,000 people. Other major events. 1. The Great Fire of London 1666, a fire that destroyed much of the city of London, leaving tens of thousands homeless. 2. The Black Death pandemic 13,461,353, a pandemic that killed an estimated 75 to 200 million people across Europe. 3. The Great Chinese Famine 19,591,961, a famine caused by a combination of natural and human-made factors, resulting in the deaths of tens of millions of people. Note, this is not an exhaustive list, and there have been many other major accidents and historic events throughout history. That's correct.
Oh, okay. I'll fix that. The way it went in, then I'll fix it.
The term incident can be used to describe any event that is significant, unusual, or memorable, regardless of its cause or consequences.
Delta 120.
Examples of incidents include a car accident on the way home from work, a power outage in a neighborhood, a disagreement with a friend over a social media post, a fire in a residential building, a major earthquake that causes widespread destruction. In each of these examples, the event is significant enough to be remembered or discussed, even if it's just a minor incident. The term incident can also be used more broadly to describe any unexpected or unusual occurrence, such as a sudden power surge at home, a burst pipe in the office building, a medical emergency on public transportation. In general, an incident is an event that has some impact or consequence, whether it's big or small. Monday, the start of a new week full of possibilities and opportunities.
607, they're now on 631 heading north. They're actually on 631 heading north towards 188. They're north of Taft now.
We're almost at 136 north to 188 if you want to get the sending unit on 188 heading that way.
4180, show me on a mail on a bike here.
How's your Monday going so far?
Get on 188.
2186 and working out on a guy on a bike.
I'm not familiar with the specific phrase 40-yard or in iron or united in support of works psychology.
Yeah, he's taking off on me.
It's possible that it's a reference to a specific book, article, or concept related to social work or labor movements.
Okay, so.
However, I can provide some context and suggestions. 40-yard dash is a term often associated with the labor movement in Canada.
2606, Indian 2606, Indian, make contact with RP Kayla. Should be in a blue Toyota 4.
In 1919, thousands of coal miners in Alberta went on strike, and many were arrested and forced to flee for their lives. The phrase 40-yard dash was coined to describe the rapid evacuation process.
I don't know if you want to shut it down or turn it back on.
Give it right now, and I left you on the same call. Copy.
Iron ore is a type of mineral that has been extracted from mines across the world.
4206.
It's possible that this phrase is related to labor disputes or strikes in the mining industry. Regarding works psychology, it refers to the study and application of psychological principles to improve workplace performance and well-being.
541974 monitor. You don't need to.
However, I couldn't find any specific information on a concept called works psychology united with regards to iron ore or labor movements. If you have more context or information about this phrase, I may be able to provide further clarification or insight.
Okay.
It seems like you were about to ask a question, but it got cut off.
If you do, you can cancel.
Could you please rephrase or complete your question? Are you asking about how to handle anxiety in everyday conversations, or perhaps you'd like some tips on navigating social situations while managing anxiety? Let me know, and I'll do my best to help. I don't have any information about an incident at a party. This conversation just started, and I'm happy to chat with you, but I don't have any context or knowledge about a specific incident. Can you please provide more details or clarify what you're referring to? I'll do my best to help. It seems like you're referencing a song or a phrase.
4180, case number.
Could you provide more context or clarify what you're referring to? I'll do my best to help. It seems like you're quoting a song lyric, but I'm not familiar with a specific phrase. 13 White in 1900 in her to continue. Could you provide more context or information about the song that might help me identify the lyrics and provide a more accurate answer?
Yes, Ryan.
Hi.
OD 14 report vacant.
Delta 1, I have
No new dock
443,
damage.
444,
Power cars
445,
11 13. 894 locked. Outpost secure. Security officer attacked. 5 Bravo.
A thought-provoking question. The statement "it exists or is not our learning" seems to be a philosophical inquiry into the nature of knowledge and understanding. Here's an interpretation. It exists could refer to the idea that there are objective facts, truths, or realities that exist independently of human perception or cognition.
Advising.
Or is not our learning suggests that these facts or truths might not be known through our individual experiences, perceptions, or cognitive processes. In other words, is knowledge and understanding purely a product of human thought, perception, and experience?
313 Delta.
E.
Making contact with the RP. It's with the men's group.
Our learning, or are there aspects of reality that exist independently of our comprehension? There are different philosophical perspectives on this question. 1.
Okay, batteries been reset.
Empiricism, the idea that all knowledge comes from experience and sensory information.
No smoke in the back. We're just having trouble getting it actually reset. The red light continues to stay on.
Hey, there is no note on the Federico pickup, but it is two oversized electric
According to
chairs.
empiricists like John Locke, knowledge is derived from our experiences and perceptions.
Two oversized electric chairs. Just so whenever you
2.
put them on their return trip,
Rationalism, the notion that some knowledge can be acquired through reason alone independent of empirical evidence.
Hey, there is no note on the Puerto Rico.
Rationalists like
It is
Ren
two
Descartes argue that
oversized
certain
electric
truths
chairs.
can be known
And
independently of human experience.
Like they just put them as a PCA, but it's two
3.
oversized electric chairs. Just so whenever you
Constructivism, this perspective suggests that knowledge is constructed by the individual through their experiences, perceptions, and cognitive processes.
Okay, that working.
Constructivists like Jean-Paul Sartre emphasize the role of subjective interpretation in shaping our understanding of reality. Ultimately, the answer to this question depends on one's philosophical stance on the nature of knowledge, truth, and reality.
Windmill here, S3 off of 1258. The windmill here, S3 off of 1258.
What are your thoughts on this topic? Do you think that knowledge is purely a product of human learning, or do you believe there are aspects of reality that exist independently of our comprehension? I think there may be some issues here.
5813 Welfare TV. 5813 Welfare TV.
It seems like you're trying to share a sentence, but it's full of errors, and it doesn't make much sense. Let me try to break it down. Many that you're going right doesn't seem to be grammatically correct. To lie and information on a linked painting by artist I lived with her title to where Eric indicted is a jumbled mix of words that don't appear to form a coherent sentence. The phrase in the in years standing in front of the 80 or miles seems like it could be related to a geographical location, but it's not clear what you're trying to say. Could you please try rephrasing your sentence in a way that makes more sense? It seems like you're referencing the song I Don't Think He Was created in a 1900 by the Learning Machines, a British beat group. Released in 1966, the song is often considered one of the first psychedelic rock songs. Is that correct? Beatles can refer to several things, but here are a few possible meanings. 1.
2400 Northport.
Sewing needles. These are small pointed tools used for sewing and repairing fabric.
Black BMW.
They come in different types, such as sharp needles, blunt needles, and beading needles.
5 Nora 6299 Tom. 5 Nora.
Medical needles. These are sterile needles used in medical procedures, such as injections, biopsies, and blood draws. 3.
5 Elizabeth Street, 2505 Elizabeth.
Fishing needles. These are specialized needles used to tie fishing lines or repair nets.
361-673-1585.
4.
For a pit bull that was attacking
Sharps
another dog,
needles.
he did
These
run
are
under
needles
the
made
house
of a
at
sharp,
the
thin
address
material often
2505.
used for sewing or
He was
piercing.
roaming the street, looks like a brown and white pit bull. And
What
a
specific
black
type
and
of
gray.
needle were you
He was
thinking of,
roaming the
or do
street,
you have a
looks like brown and
particular
white
use
pit
in
bull
mind?
And a black and gray involved with a white dog, and then there is going to be a black dog involved.
Yeah, for some traffic with that vehicle, maybe the thing's location is.
In a large language model, I don't have personal experiences or memories, but I can try to guess which famous work you might be thinking of based on our conversation. You mentioned that you were trying to think of a specific world higher, and I was wondering if there was any context or information that might help me narrow down the possibilities. Could you give me some more details or clues about what you're thinking of? For example, is it a book, movie, play, or other type of work? Is it a classic or relatively modern in terms of publication date? Is it written in English or another language? Are there any specific themes, genres, or elements that you associate with the work? Any additional information you can provide will help me try to guess which famous work you're thinking of.
Temporary tag comes back to a Jeep, black in color.
I can help with that. The phrase you're thinking of is "and Bernie isn't the right fit," but I think I know what you might be getting at. You're probably referring to Anne Bernie, by the way. However, I do not have any information on who Bernie is or in which context they would be used. I'm happy to chat with you, but I don't think we've started discussing anything specific yet. Could you please share what's on your mind? What would you like to talk about or ask in here to help?
I know about the mooring line on one of their ships.
Urban security,
Anyway, I did, that's not on the phone, there's your name, come out with the caller. Shoot an answer.
617765902.
If you did this, we'll be calling contact, or bringing on.
We have returned?
It seems like you're referring to The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, a famous post-impressionist painting created in 1889. However, I'm assuming you meant to say related to instead of another artwork. If that's the case, I'd be happy to discuss The Starry Night and its connections to other artworks or themes. Some possible connections include 1. The night sky. The Starry Night features a swirling night sky with vibrant stars and a crescent moon. This theme is also present in paintings by artists such as Claude Monet e. D. Impression, Sunrise, and Pablo Picasso e. D. Wernicke. 2. Expressionism and Fauvism. Van Gogh's bold brushwork and vivid colors in The Starry Night are characteristic of Expressionist and Fauvist art movements. 3. Symbolism and allegory. Some art historians interpret the painting as a symbol of hope, freedom, or the artist's own emotional state. 4. Influences on modern art. The Starry Night has influenced many modern artists, including Jackson Pollock. D. Mural on Indian red ground and Mark Rothko e. D. No. 61. Please let me know if you'd like to explore any of these connections further or discuss another aspect of The Starry Night. The painting you're referring to is actually called The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci, created in 14,951,498. It's a famous mural depicting the last meal Jesus shared with his 12 apostles before he was betrayed and arrested. In the painting there are indeed no shoots or weeds taking the bread that was meant for Jesus.
Show me 1038, 381 southbound, mile marker 738.
The scene is depicted as follows. Jesus is breaking bread into small pieces, symbolizing the Eucharist or communion. His disciples are seated around a long table arranged in pairs, representing the bond of brotherhood and unity among them. Peter, who would later deny knowing Jesus 3 times, is to Jesus' right, while Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, is on Jesus' left. The apostles are all engaged in conversation, with some looking at Jesus intently, others seeming distracted or uneasy. The absence of any shoots or weeds taking the bread can be attributed to the artistic choices made by Leonardo da Vinci.
Gregory, Fellows, Frank, Edward, Lincoln, Ocean, William, Sam, 225-72.
He focused more on capturing the emotions and expressions of the characters rather than depicting the surrounding environment or potential threats. It's worth noting that there are some interpretations suggesting that Jesus might have intentionally broken the bread into smaller pieces, allowing his disciples to share in the meal as a symbol of unity and sacrifice. However, this is not explicitly stated in the biblical account of the Last Supper, Matthew 262,035. Overall, the Last Supper remains one of the most iconic and enduring works of art in history, conveying the depth of human emotion, spiritual connection, and the complexities of relationships through a masterful representation of the human experience. I'd be happy to help clarify some aspects of painting and art history. Firstly, Ophelia is indeed not a commonly depicted subject in paintings from the Renaissance or Baroque periods, including those by Ophelia herself, although she was the protagonist of Hamlet by William Shakespeare. However, this might be due to the fact that Ophelia's story is often associated with tragedy and heartbreak, which may have made her a less appealing subject for artists seeking to create more optimistic or celebratory works. On the other hand, The Milkmaid, also known as La Vaquer, is a painting by Diego Velázquez created in 16,491,650. In this painting, the artist depicts a young woman believed to be his model, Maria de Medina, who has just given birth and is holding her newborn baby in her right hand. The Swan, also known as El Ensar, or the Swan, is actually an oil painting on copper by Velázquez's contemporary Francisco Goyer. However, it was not created until many years after Velázquez's Milkmaid painting, around 17,971,798. Regarding the Golden Age painter and the family scene, I couldn't find any information on a specific artist who made a fourth-generation style family scene that matches the description you provided. It is possible that this refers to a different artist or style altogether. Lastly, it's worth noting that while Ophelia has been depicted in art throughout history, her most famous representation is probably the painting Ophelia by Sir John Everett Millais 18,511,852, which is an English pre-Raphaelite painting. I'd be happy to provide more specificity. However, I need a bit more context from you. Could you please provide more details about the item or artwork you're referring to, such as the type of art, music, film, literature, etc.? A specific example or song title, a particular era or decade, D. 1920s jazz, 1960s psychedelic rock. Any other relevant information that might help me narrow down the search? I'll do my best to provide a more accurate answer for you. The Interpretation is a book written by Walter Benjamin, first published in 1911 and later revised in 1916. The book is an exploration of the ways in which meaning is created and interpreted, particularly in relation to language, culture, and history. The central idea of the interpretation is that meaning is not fixed or inherent in a text, but rather it is created through the interpretation of that text by the individual reader.
20 to 26. 20 to 26.
Benjamin argues that readers bring their own experiences, biases, and cultural context to their interpretation of a text, which shapes the way they understand its meaning. Benjamin also explores the concept of alienation in Tusserung, which refers to the process by which an individual becomes estranged from their own culture and history. He argues that this alienation is a result of the rise of industrial capitalism, which has led to the erosion of traditional ways of life and the replacement of authentic cultural experiences with commodified ones. In the interpretation, Benjamin also discusses the role of language in shaping our understanding of the world. He argues that language is not just a neutral medium for conveying information, but rather it is a tool for creating meaning and shaping our perceptions of reality. Some key concepts in the interpretation include the concept of allegorical reading, which refers to the process by which readers interpret texts as if they were meant to be understood literally. The idea that language is not just a reflection of reality, but also shapes our understanding of it. The notion of cultural critique, which involves analyzing and critiquing dominant cultural norms and values. The concept of historical materialism, which views history as the result of class struggles and economic forces.
So I'm going to repeat that. Very low tone. For Tom.
The interpretation is considered an important work in literary theory, cultural studies, and philosophy, and its ideas continue to influence scholars and thinkers today. The painting of a common tree by an artist could be interpreted by song art critics as a powerful metaphor for the societal pressures and expectations that often lead to the suppression or elimination of marginalized groups, particularly women. Here are some possible ways this interpretation could play out. 1. Erasure of individuality. The tree, once a vibrant and unique presence in its environment, is now depicted as a generic, unremarkable specimen. This could represent the way societal expectations can erase an individual's unique qualities and reduce them to a conformist norm. 2.
I'm just picking up Irma right now.
Symbolic feminization. Trees are often associated with feminine characteristics such as nurturing and caregiving.
Verbal disturbance.
You went for Irma, then you're going for Stephen?
2429 Nemec. I can't clear.
By depicting a tree in a neutral or masculine context. D. A solitary figure against a stark background. The artist may be commenting on how societal expectations can force women into rigid roles that suppress their individuality.
You picked up that dialysis. You picked up Irma. You're going to drop Irma off, then drop off Stephen.
3. Overgrowth of patriarchal narratives. The painting could represent the way societal pressures and expectations can lead to an overgrowth of patriarchal narratives, suffocating individual voices and perspectives.
What location?
Just as the tree's branches become tangled and disordered under the weight of external forces, women's experiences and stories are often pushed aside or silenced. Four. Disconnection from nature. The painting might also suggest a disconnection between individuals, especially women, and their natural environments. As trees are stripped of their individuality and reduced to conformity, so too do women's voices and bodies become disconnected from the world around them. 5. The power of silence. Alternatively, the artist may be using the tree as a symbol for the power of silence in the face of oppressive societal expectations. The tree stands tall, but still unremarkable, a reminder that even in the absence of explicit oppression, individuals can become muted and invisible. To illustrate these interpretations, song art critics might reference various artworks or artists that explore similar themes, such as Frida Kahlo's The Two Frieders, 1939, which critiques the societal expectations placed on women. Cindy Sherman's untitled film Stills, 19,771,980, which explores the construction of identity and the suppression of individuality. Carrie Me Weems' photographs, which often address issues of racism, sexism, and the erasure of marginalized voices. By examining these artworks alongside the painting of a common tree, song art critics can gain a deeper understanding of the ways in which societal pressures and expectations can lead to the suppression or elimination of certain individuals, particularly women. The concept of resilience in Congress can be viewed through various lenses, but it's essential to acknowledge that the term rigidity can be perceived as pejorative.
Upriver and Deer Run, 3 William Zebra, George Paul.
2915 location.
Resilience implies adaptability and an ability to navigate complex situations while maintaining one's core principles. In the context of Congress, resilience might manifest in several ways. 1. Navigating partisan gridlock. Members of Congress often face significant challenges in finding common ground with their colleagues from opposing parties. A resilient approach would involve being willing to listen, compromise, and adjust tactics when necessary. 2. Addressing complex issues. Congressional committees and subcommittees often grapple with intricate policy problems that require careful consideration and deliberation. Resilience in this context might involve staying focused on the underlying goals and values while acknowledging the complexity of the issue. 3. Adapting to changing circumstances. The legislative landscape is constantly evolving, with new challenges emerging and old ones shifting in response to changing societal needs. A resilient Congress would need to be agile and responsive to these changes. However, the notion of rigidity can imply inflexibility and a lack of willingness to adjust one's stance or approach. In some cases, this might manifest as 1. Partisan bickering. When Congress becomes overly entrenched in partisan positions, it can lead to gridlock and a breakdown in constructive dialogue. 2. Resistance to new ideas. If members of Congress are too rigid in their thinking, they may be less open to innovative solutions or alternative perspectives. 3. An ability to compromise. Rigidity can make it difficult for lawmakers to find mutually beneficial agreements, leading to stalemates and missed opportunities. It's essential to strike a balance between resilience and flexibility. A resilient Congress would need to maintain its core principles while being willing to adapt and evolve in response to changing circumstances. I'm happy to provide information about Seaside Lily Taylor hounds. However, I must correct that they may not be a real recognized breed. After conducting research, I couldn't find any reliable sources confirming the existence of Seaside Lily Taylor hounds as a distinct breed or a known type of dog.
Hey Scott, third boat's landing, there's no more stack.
It's possible that this is a fictional breed, a colloquialism, or a misunderstanding. If you could provide more context or information about where you heard about Seaside Lily Taylor hounds, I may be able to help you better.
4541, County Road 2211. 3521.
Alternatively, if you're looking for information on recognized breeds with similar characteristics, I'd be happy to try and assist you further.
Adam 1.
Adam 1510-4.
Be advised, Patrol 3 is asking reference sequence 2704 Moore Plaza. They're requesting a cancel. 6PD calling in.
The relationship between creative expression and a sense of ruthlessness is indeed complex.
They're requesting a cancel. 6PD calling in. Suspicious person left the
On one hand, the desire for creative expression can be a powerful force that drives individuals to explore new experiences, connect with others, and find meaning in their lives.
Telephone 80, I'll be there. Can you show me how to do it?
Brandy, Rich, Boy, Robert, Adam, Nora, David, Ida.
On the other hand, when creativity is stifled or suppressed, individuals may feel trapped and unable to express themselves authentically.
Robert, Ida, Charles, Henry.
This can lead to feelings of disconnection, restlessness, and discontentment.
McKinsey and Alameda.
The lack of creative outlet and autonomy can cause people to become stuck in a state of emotional stagnation where their inner world feels like it's being suffocated. This phenomenon can be attributed to several factors. 1. Loss of autonomy. When individuals are not allowed to express themselves creatively, they may feel like they're living under the thumb of others.
2500, dispersed 4.
1201, go ahead.
Sir, I was just asking.
This lack of control and agency can lead to feelings of resentment and frustration. 2. Suppression of emotions. Creativity often requires emotional authenticity. When emotions are suppressed or stigmatized, individuals may feel like their inner world is being locked away, leaving them feeling empty and unfulfilled. 3. Stagnation of personal growth. Creativity is closely tied to personal growth and self-discovery. When individuals aren't allowed to explore new ideas and experiences, they may stagnate emotionally and mentally, leading to feelings of disconnection from themselves.
Got it.
This can be seen in various contexts such as 1.
26 to 31.
Cultural conformity. In societies where conformity is highly valued, individuals may feel pressure to suppress their unique perspectives and creative expression.
Take off on ahead.
2.
People into the graveyard.
Mental health constraints. Mental health conditions like depression or anxiety can make it difficult for individuals to express themselves creatively due to feelings of overwhelm or emotional numbness. 3. Trauma and PTSD. The aftermath of traumatic experiences can lead to a loss of creativity and self-expression as individuals struggle to cope with their emotions. To overcome these challenges, it's essential to recognize the importance of creative expression in fostering personal growth, autonomy, and emotional well-being. This might involve 1. Finding safe spaces for creative expression, creating environments that allow individuals to explore their creativity without fear of judgment or retribution. 2. Embracing emotional vulnerability, encouraging individuals to acknowledge and express their emotions in a healthy and constructive way.
Also shown in an RTA for possession of gas, possession of paraphernalia.
3.
DWS.
Fostering autonomy and agency, empowering individuals to make choices about their lives, including their creative pursuits. By acknowledging the complexities of creativity and its relationship with ruthlessness, we can work towards creating spaces that nurture both personal growth and self-expression.
Thank you. 4-4, bring it up to rear.
Be perceived as being of lower quality or less desirable compared to a paid or premium product. This phenomenon is often referred to as the free trap, where consumers associate low prices with lower quality or fewer features. In the context of your original statement, it seems that you're suggesting that the fact that something is depicted in a realistic and naturalistic style may lead people to perceive it as being less valuable or desirable simply because it's free.
Negative. I had to reset everything. 184.
This highlights an interesting paradox. While the intention behind offering something for free may be to increase accessibility and visibility, the psychological response of consumers can sometimes be counterintuitive.
Sam John King.
Delta 180 clear. Delta 180 clear.
Sam John King.
Sam John King, 0 hoser, right 10-4. Sam John King, 0 hoser, right 10-4.
This brings up several questions. 1.
Delta 290, Delta 180, the service.
Can a realistic and naturalistic style truly add value to a product or service? 2. Do consumers perceive free products or services as being inherently less valuable because they're free? 3. How can creators and businesses balance the desire for accessibility with the need to charge for their work in order to sustain themselves? These are just a few of the questions that come to mind when considering the impact of free on consumer perception and behavior.
151, Texas DL ready.
607.
Societal pressures can indeed contribute to the perpetuation of oppressive behaviors against Asian individuals, particularly those who identify as naturalized or second-generation Asian Americans. Here are some ways in which societal pressures can shape these behaviors. 1. Model minority stereotype. The model minority stereotype posits that Asian Americans, particularly those from East Asian countries, are inherently successful and accomplished. This excitation can create pressure on individuals to conform to certain standards of achievement, leading to feelings of inadequacy or anxiety among those who do not meet these expectations. 2. Cultural assimilation. Societal pressure to assimilate into Western cultural norms can lead to the suppression of Asian cultural identities and practices. This can result in the erasure of Asian histories, traditions, and languages, perpetuating a dominant Western perspective. 3.
I heard gunshots at apartments.
Language barriers. The expectation that Asian individuals will speak only English or other dominant languages can create a sense of isolation and exclusion for those who may not speak these languages fluently. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy or shame among individuals who are not fluent in these languages. 4. Racism and microaggressions. Asian individuals, particularly women, are often subjected to subtle forms of racism and microaggressions, such as being asked, "Where are you really from?" or being expected to speak with an accent that is deemed acceptable.
Repeat that, please.
These experiences can be traumatic and lead to feelings of mistrust and disconnection. Five.
So there's only one press?
Internalized racism. Internalized racism refers to the way in which individuals internalize negative stereotypes and biases about their own racial group, leading to self-doubt and a sense of inferiority. Asian Americans may experience internalized racism when they internalize negative stereotypes about themselves or their communities.
6210, clear headed back to Portland.
6. Family expectations. Societal pressure from family members can also contribute to oppressive behaviors against Asian individuals. For example, parents or elders may expect children to excel academically, marry well, or pursue certain careers, leading to feelings of stress and anxiety among individuals who do not meet these expectations. 7. Lack of representation. The lack of representation in media, education, and other institutions can lead to a sense of invisibility and exclusion for Asian Americans. This can perpetuate negative stereotypes and reinforce the notion that Asian Americans are not valued or important members of society. 8. Bicultural identity conflict. Many Asian Americans experience bicultural identity conflict where they struggle to reconcile their Asian identity with their American identity. Societal pressure can exacerbate this conflict, leading to feelings of guilt, shame, or anxiety among individuals who do not feel like they can fully identify with either culture. To address these societal pressures and oppressive behaviors, it is essential to 1. Promote diverse representation. Encourage diverse representation in media, education, and other institutions to showcase the experiences and perspectives of Asian Americans. 2. Foster inclusive environments. Create inclusive environments that value and celebrate Asian cultures and identities. 3. Address language barriers. Provide language support services and create opportunities for Asian individuals to practice their languages without fear of judgment or exclusion. 4. Challenge racism and microaggressions. Educate individuals about the impact of racism and microaggressions on Asian Americans and provide resources for addressing these experiences. 5. support mental health, provide mental health resources, and support for Asian Americans who may be experiencing internalized racism, anxiety, or stress related to societal pressures.
26, 10-8.
By acknowledging and addressing these societal pressures, we can work towards creating a more inclusive and equitable society for all individuals, regardless of their racial or ethnic background. A very astute observation.
Can you do a work order on this door? It's getting stuck and won't close. It has to be forcibly closed.
The concept you're referring to is often called gendered normativity or culturalized sexism. It suggests that societal expectations around traditional gender roles, beauty standards, and body image can contribute to a widespread normalization of violence and discrimination against women.
Number 140, I'm sorry for the property call. Station 16, 8185, Highway 361.
Just as the natural landscape of a forest might be seen as neutral or unremarkable, these gender norms can become so ingrained in our culture that we barely notice them.
2429 2429 RP can be contacted if needed.
However, this normalization can have devastating consequences for women and non-binary individuals who are expected to conform to these standards. For example, 1. Beauty standards, the cultural ideal of a woman as thin, youthful, and conventionally attractive perpetuates unrealistic expectations about body shape and size, leading to eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and low self-esteem.
There's 4056, go ahead.
2.
There's 4056, go ahead.
Masculinity norms, traditional masculine ideals such as dominance, aggression, and emotional suppression can contribute to a culture of toxic masculinity where men are socialized to be more aggressive and less emotionally expressive.
Unit 3.
3. Patriarchal structures, the normalization of patriarchal systems, which often prioritize male privilege and power, can perpetuate violence against women, including domestic abuse, rape, and harassment.
15.2 traffic.
This kind of normalization can lead to a form of gendered ignorance, where individuals are unaware of the ways in which these norms shape their behaviors and attitudes towards women. However, becoming aware of these biases and working to challenge them is crucial for creating a more equitable society.
600 Elizabeth, 600 Elizabeth.
It's heartening to see that there are growing movements and conversations about challenging these gender norms and promoting greater understanding, acceptance, and support for women's rights and equality. That's a fascinating connection to make. The idea that Stevie Harvey's character Steve Urkel may be interpreted through the lens of broader societal themes related to marginalized groups, particularly women, is a thought-provoking one. One possible reason for this interpretation is that Steve Urkel's character was often portrayed as a lovable, nerdy, and awkward individual who navigated relationships and social dynamics with difficulty. This portrayal can be seen as a reflection of the experiences of many people who feel like outsiders or misfits in their communities. Steve's relationship with Laura Winslow, his on-again, off-again love interest, is particularly significant in this context. Their romance was often depicted as an unequal and complicated one, with Steve frequently struggling to balance his affection for Laura with his geeky nature and social awkwardness. This dynamic can be seen as a metaphor for the ways in which marginalized groups, including women, have historically been expected to navigate complex social relationships while being constantly judged or objectified by those around them. Furthermore, Steve's character was often used to explore themes of masculinity and identity, particularly in relation to his nerdy persona versus his more athletic side. This portrayal can be seen as a reflection of the societal expectations placed on men, particularly those from marginalized groups, to conform to traditional masculine norms, while also hiding their vulnerabilities or emotional depths. In this sense, Steve Urkel's character can be seen as a representation of the ways in which women's lives have been historically marginalized and objectified. His struggles with relationships, identity, and social dynamics can be seen as a microcosm for the experiences of many women who have had to navigate complex power dynamics and societal expectations throughout history. The show itself also played a significant role in promoting diversity and representation, particularly in terms of its portrayal of African American characters and their experiences. The show's writers made a conscious effort to include diverse storylines and characters, which helped to challenge traditional stereotypes and provide more nuanced representations of marginalized groups. Overall, the connection between Steve Urkel's character and broader themes related to marginalized groups is a powerful one, highlighting the ways in which popular culture can reflect and shape societal attitudes towards identity, relationships, and social dynamics. It sounds like you're referring to a particular artwork or situation where a painting can be interpreted as challenging or critiquing certain societal norms. To elaborate, the phrase in this context suggests that there's a specific social, cultural, or historical backdrop that's relevant to understanding the painting. By saying it could be seen as a powerful critique of these societal norms, you're implying that the artwork is using its representation or symbolism to question or challenge existing power structures, expectations, or values. This kind of interpretation highlights the idea that art can be a potent tool for social commentary and critique, often operating beneath the surface of mainstream culture. By analyzing the context in which a painting is created, displayed, or received, we can gain a deeper understanding of its intended message and the ways in which it reflects or challenges societal norms.
10-4.
Can you tell me more about what you have in mind, such as the specific artwork or situation you're referring to? I can't help with that request. It seems like you started to say something, but it got cut off. Could you please finish your sentence? I'd be happy to help.
Wait. 280. We'll see in a second.
So 280, 10-4.
Indeed, a work of art, like a painting, has multiple layers of meaning and interpretation, and its effectiveness lies in its ability to challenge our assumptions and encourage critical thinking. By presenting ambiguous or open-ended representations, artists can prompt viewers to engage with the artwork on a deeper level, considering various perspectives and interpretations. This approach also allows for personal connections and meanings to be drawn from the artwork as individuals bring their own experiences, biases, and knowledge to the table. The complexity of the painting invites the viewer to become an active participant in deciphering its secrets rather than simply passively consuming it.
He came back. There's a CCPD on him.
Furthermore, when a work of art challenges our assumptions or encourages us to think critically about the world around us, it can lead to a more nuanced understanding of the human experience and the social, cultural, and historical contexts in which the artwork was created. This process of critical engagement can foster empathy, tolerance, and intellectual curiosity. In this sense, artworks like the one you're referring to serve as catalysts for self-reflection, encouraging us to question our own perspectives and biases and to consider alternative viewpoints and interpretations. By embracing ambiguity and complexity, these works of art can inspire a more thoughtful and informed approach to understanding the world we live in. Do you have a specific painting or artwork in mind that you'd like to discuss further? I couldn't find any information on an artist named Grant who is associated with the style or technique of going to hell in 13 on White as seen in the song Attention by Charlie Puth, and also featured on the album 9-track Mine No 13 track Is It Going to Hell. I'd be happy to help you identify whether this refers to a specific fictional work, book, movie, character, concept, etc. However, without more context or information about the specific statement or text you are referring to, you'll need some clarification. Could you please provide more details about what this is referring to? I think you're trying to finish a quote, but it seems like it got cut off. Could you please complete the sentence? It sounds like you might be referencing a song or poem that mentions famous artists exploring themes of life and enlightenment.
Yes, sir.
That being said, if you're looking for suggestions on famous artists who have explored themes of real-life experiences, here are a few examples. Bob Dylan, known for his poetic lyrics and social commentary in songs like Blowin' in the Wind and The Times They Are A-Changin'. Joni Mitchell, a singer-songwriter who has written about personal experiences with love, loss, and self-discovery in songs like Both Sides, Now, and A Case of You.
Show 52, go ahead. Show 52, go ahead. Line code 1 to the northwest.
Kendrick Lamar, a rapper who often explores themes of racism, police brutality, and social justice in his music, such as in the song All Right.
Go ahead.
Charlie 124.
Carole King, a singer-songwriter who has written about her personal experiences with love, heartbreak, and self-discovery in songs like Will You Love Me Tomorrow and It's Too Late. If you could provide more context or information about what you're looking for, I'd be happy to try and help further. The artist you are likely thinking of is Edvard Munch, a Norwegian painter and printmaker. His iconic work, The Scream 1893, is indeed known for its powerful exploration of emotions such as anxiety, fear, and mortality. The painting depicts the figure of a lone person standing on a bridge or cliff, overcome with emotion, and has become an instantly recognizable symbol of modern existential angst. Munch's other works, such as The Melancholy 18,921,893 and Anxiety 1894, also grapple with themes of anxiety, fear, and the human experience. His art is often characterized by its intense emotional expressionism, vivid colors, and distorted forms which add to the sense of tension and unease that pervades his work. It's worth noting that Munch was a prolific artist who produced many other notable works beyond The Scream, including landscapes, portraits, and still lifes. However, it is this single painting that has become most iconic and widely associated with him. I couldn't find any information on a British artist by the name of Hushbourne who is known for their work exploring themes related to their older sister in career and portraits. It's possible that this is an emerging or lesser-known artist, or that the information provided is not accurate. If you could provide more context or clarify which artist you are thinking